happy Sunday night, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody doing all right? So we've got 5 people in here right now. More people come over. I know a lot of people are over at Aries, and a lot of people are over at OCD EDC. And I know they'll jump over in a few minutes once those guys go off. But for everybody who's here right now, I want to say thank you. So this has been an interesting week for the channel. What's happened is my watch hours have gone up a lot, and my subscriber count has gone up. We went from 1,300 subscribers. What's up, Joe? Joe, we're waiting for more people to get here and we'll do the big reveal. But the subscriber count's gone from 1,300 to 1,600 in a matter of a week and a half. Some of that I'm attributing unprofessional dad. What's up, Chris? It's going great, buddy. It's going great. So, like I was saying, the channel has spiked. We're getting a lot of new viewers, a lot of new subscribers. Some of that I attribute to having started a TikTok account. Ron Crow, what's up? KR Knives Review, how you doing, buddy? So, like I said, I've noticed a correlation with me starting the TikTok and posting there almost every day to my subscribers going up in pretty much an equal number along that same time frame. So, like I said, Neil McKenzie, how you doing tonight? So again, we've in a week and a half, basically, or 2 weeks, we've added another 300 subscribers to the channel. So we're now at 1,600, which means next week we're gonna have to do the 1,500. What's up, Josh? We're gonna have to do the 1,500 sub giveaway, and I'm not gonna reveal what there's some nice stuff in that giveaway. I'm not gonna reveal that quite yet, but I'm gonna post a giveaway comment video at some point. It's not going to be a public video, so that way, basically, I'm going to put up the link the night we do the 1931 Leatherworks. Welcome in. It's the night we do the giveaway next Sunday night. We'll have that membership just like we did the last giveaway. Speaking of which, if Lou gets in here, I got to find out what he wants me to do with last week's giveaway that he won, but still hasn't sent me the information on. So, if anybody sees Lou, you're going to make sure he either gives me his information or we're going to give it away to somebody else. We'll go that route. But, so that's where we're going. That's where the channel's headed. And we are about 250 watch hours. Thanks, Unprofessional Dad. Chris, you're the best. I appreciate that. We're about 250. Rob Willoughby, how you doing, buddy? We're about 250 watch hours away from being monetized. And at the rate that's going, hopefully, by the time we're here next Sunday, we'll be able to take channel memberships. If not, it'll be the week after. But, SC Knife Monkey, what's up, my friend? Hey, Kelly. Paul. Hey, Paul, are you on Instagram? If you are, send me a message on there because you were asking a question in an earlier chat, and I want to kind of fill you what was going on, but I don't want to go into it and open up a whole can of worms. But yeah, Paul, hit me up on Instagram, and you were, like I said, you asked a question in an early one about something you had missed, and I'm going to fill you in on that. Yes, Kelly, that would be perfect. Yeah, if everybody wants to do that, I would really appreciate it. Brown Sugar, what's up, my friend? Douglas Wagner, welcome in. So we're going to start going over some of the things that came into the channel this week. Not a lot. Like last week, we had a lot more. But, I want to go over some of the things that came in. We had some stuff come in, but not like last week. Last week, we had a lot. But I didn't really buy much. I just had some stuff trickling in, and then something we're going to talk about in a little while somebody gifted me something, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. But so the first knife that came in was this one, the Wingspan by New Breed EDC. You know, Route 10 Tex, Mark Perez. We all know Mark. He's awesome. This is his knife. And man, this is a amazing, amazing knife. I kid you not. This is the smoothest operating knife that I own. And I don't say that lightly. The how easy it is to deploy this and how smooth it is. You know, and the front flipper works great. The thumb hole or the thumb opening works fantastic. I'm not great at reverse flicking, and I can reverse flick this without even thinking about it. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful knife. And as you guys know who been watching the channel for a while, one of my favorite blade shapes is a Nessmuck. So this is a combination of a Nessmuck and a sheep's foot. Mark actually calls it the, what does he call it? The sheep's muck. And I just love it. And that silver twill carbon and the black titanium, this is just absolutely fantastic. I say it now, this is, like I said, the smoothest deploying knife that I own. So, and that came in. And like I said, I'm really, like I've been talking to Mark, I'm telling him how great this knife is, and he just keeps telling me how much he appreciates it and how he loves it, I love it. So that's really kind of cool. Another one that came in was by CJRB. And this is the Malia. And this one is a bigger version. If you remember, I had well, I got it here actually, so I can show you, compare the two. So this is the Malia by CJRB. So this is the small one. You guys saw this before on the channel. Well, this is its bigger sister or bigger brother, whatever you want to call it. A Swags design, just like the other one, but look at the size difference. Same knife, just one's bigger than the other. So for people who found this one too small, you know, or they wanted this in a bigger, not a fifth pocket carry, sheer mischief, what's up? There's this one. And RPM 9 steel. You know, it's got that front flipper. And what is that dust on there? You know, I love the accents on this, the gold accents, the thumb stud and the pivot. Nice. This makes it 4 fingers. You got that nice jimping up here. It's a little bit aggressive, although I will say because of the coating, it makes it a little slick, even though it's aggressive. But if you just push your thumb down into it, it really does lock in. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I just really like this thing. This thing is like just fantastic. And oops, and it went halfway across the room. Be right back. You guys just talk amongst yourselves. I have never done that before. All right. So, like I was saying, that front flipper, although is just very easy to use. Yep, Chris, I am. But I just love this knife. Really great shape. Like I said, I love the small one, but I find the bigger one even better. So, that. Then something that came in, which I actually put up a short video on today, was this little guy. Everybody see this one? This is a limited edition Kaiser Mini Militar. And this one is not on the Kaiser site, but it's on the mydropbear.com site, which is an affiliate of Kaiser, where they're doing a lot of limited edition models. So let's open this up. So you've got your green aluminum, black carbon fiber with your shamrock Over here, you have a top hat. Let's see if we can get that closer. It's a top hat with a shamrock in it. They made this in a limited edition for St. Patrick's Day. They did a whole series of Kaiser knives called the Clover series, and these were available, I believe, around March or so. You have all your hardware is gold plated, including the liners. See that too well. And it's just a smaller version. It's the Mini Militar, which is still a 4-finger knife, even though the blade comes in just under 3 inches. The pocket clip is not reversible though, but I just think this is absolutely gorgeous. And on the other side, you've got the shamrocks printed there. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it close up enough, but this is number 12 of 100. Oh, excellent, Yako. I appreciate that, brother. You're the best. So yeah, so this one is number 12 of 100. So they are still available on the site. And these come in at, believe it or not, only $80. But I really like this. You know, I have a few of Kaiser's limited editions in my collection. And this one, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I had to have this because it looks like a much more expensive knife than it is. So, what do you guys think of it? And by the way, you guys know that every week I talk about it. MadYocco's here. And as far as I'm concerned, Yako makes the best hanks in the business. Him and I talked when I was getting this one. I am totally a fan of anything pirate related. I love pirates. I dress as a pirate at Renaissance fairs. I'm not going to lie. I geek out. But I love everything pirate related. And he made this one for me, and I absolutely love it. You know, it's the only hank I use is a MadYocco hank. So go and support Yako's channel. Also, too, Yako gave me a discount code for his website. That is actually in the description of this video. For anybody making a first-time purchase, you get 15% off. So take advantage of that. If you've never ordered hanks from Yako, he's got some great materials, you know. So definitely check his stuff out. So, and like I said, one of the other thing is, yeah, definitely use my discount, you guys. Take advantage of it. One of the things I have mentioned before, since our community is small, I like supporting people who are actually part of our community. So, yep. Yako put his link up there. You can follow it. And like I said, the discount code is in the description for this video along with a link, so you can go back later, you know, if you just want to kind of hang out here for now and do that thing. I know Lou had made a joke about it, that my lights aren't spinning anymore. The motor in that lighting system died. The lights still work, but the motor's dead. So I'm going to pick up another one of those, you know, because I miss the spinning lights as well. You know, kind of made my live stream look different than everybody else's. But so this, oh, one more thing that came in this week. Roger Baker, what's up, my friend? Glad you're here. So this came in. This is the TKL Agent 004. So this is one of their blem knives. I bought the blem knife, and it was just the knife itself, no scales or anything else. And then I purchased the scales, and I think I told you guys last week I forgot to order the screws. And when I called them, they said, "Don't worry, we'll just throw the screws in." And they threw the screws in for me. It's perfect. The only thing now it needs is an actual edge. It doesn't have an edge on it. This has no edge. I can do this all day. That's the thing about buying the blem. So I'm sending this off to Boston Blade Works. I think Tuesday I'm going to send it out, and he's going to put the edge on it, and I think he's going to mirror polish the edge as well. So this thing will be just amazing. I doesn't come with a sheath either, but I had this sheath on an older knife, and it actually kind of fits perfect. Although it's not what I'm going to use. I'm going to eventually put a Kydex sheet on it, but for now that'll work. You know, like I said, I'm just sending it out on Tuesday to Boston Blade Works. I talked to him about it. We got it all set up, so that's going to be great. He's going to put a nice, really sharp edge on that, and that'll be my second TCAL to go with, you know, the one I wear all the time, which is my Piranha. If I can. Yeah. So for everybody who was in Aries stream before, we got into that discussion about tech locks and whatnot. So this isn't a tech lock, but this is what TCAL shipped the Piranha with. I find this perfect. It's really small. It just slides on my belt, locks it in place, then it just carries my Piranha. But I only have scout straps on one of my knives. And let's see if I can find it. Yeah, on my wax wing. And the problem I have is they ship it with one scout strap. I think it needs two, because the problem is it does this. When it's on my belt, because of the uneven weight, it wants to fall like that. Mississippi Thunder, what's up? Razor blade edge. Did I get that right? Razor blade's edge, sorry. So because of the uneven weight, it just kind of falls like that. They may be it, but I've had this for a while. So when they shipped this out, they weren't using that wire ulti clip. I do want to get a couple of those wire ulti clips because they look great and they're not expensive at all. So in fact, that's what I want to throw on here. You know, but this for those who don't know, this is a company out of Pennsylvania, Waxwing, and these made in the USA, True V steel. This is the what do they call it? Lehigh Valley Knife Show. When I actually interviewed those guys, and they had a little bit better pricing at the show, but definitely worth it. This is another great EDC knife. That's not a lot of money. Made in the USA, made in small batches. So you have to check the website periodically, or join their Instagram, because they tell you when they're going to drop new blades. So, but yeah, definitely. But like I was saying before in Aries, well, even on this little guy, the CKRT, the Minimalist, I have their version of the Tech Lock. But let's see. What do I have here? There we go. But yeah, I use the Tech Lock on most of my fixed blades. I like it because it's just one button, slides between my belt, and when it locks, it's actually pretty close to my back, because you only have the thickness there, and then the belt just sits in there, and it locks perfectly on my belt. It doesn't slide left to right. I mean, it just holds perfect. It's always in the same spot. Makes it easy for me to pull out. And if I do have to get it off, it's just press one button and pop it right up. So I don't know. I know some people prefer the scout straps, but I don't know. I find the Tech Locks work for me, and it's because I wear a belt. I am never without a belt, and that's because a couple of reasons. One, my pockets are always so full of gear. As you guys know, we've done pocket dumps before, you know, that if I generally didn't have a belt on, my pants would fall down. So, you know, so we've got 42 people in here, which leads me to having enough people in here that I want to tell everybody about something awesome. We always talk about how kind this community is, and this week proved with me. I mean, I already knew it. We've helped people, you know. By the way, Kelly, can you put up Illuminati Twisted Sisters link for anybody who doesn't know? They lost their house in the tornado, and any way you can help them will be really great. But if Kelly, you could put that link up, I'd really appreciate it. I've seen the help that people have given each other, and just the generosity people have shown to people all throughout the community, not just them, but all around. And this week, I got blown away by something that happened to me by one of the subscribers who's here tonight, and that's Joe Kasperick. Joe sent me a box. This box showed up in the mail, and it's empty because I already emptied it. But I opened it up and was blown away by what was inside of it. So first thing, I opened it up and a swag pack. All kinds of patches, stickers. I basically have every sticker for just about every channel out there. It's in our knife community at this point. And this is kind of awesome because there's some beautiful REs in here that I didn't have in my collection and just some other stuff. But I'm going to read you the note that Joe sent along with this. And he wrote, "Hey Lance, I hope all is good. I saw you live and you said that this was your was a grail knife of yours. So I hope this finds a permanent home in your collection. It's a gorgeous knife." And the knife he sent was in this box. It's a Ferromonster. And yes, I did say this was one of my grail knives. This is a knife that had been eluding me. And Joe sent this along, and I just can't believe his generosity. I am, like, even now I'm kind of emotional about it because this meant so much to me. Like, this was a knife that I wanted, but it's been, for whatever reason, out of my price range, especially lately. And when I opened this, like, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. And I even called my wife for it. I can't believe this. And I showed her the note. And this literally made my weekend. This is going to make my month, my year. This is just, generosity is amazing. But not only that, he sent along, and by the way, this knife, the Ferromonster, as you guys know, I've been working with Wixco, and they've sent me a bunch of stuff, and I love the Wixco stuff, which is a sub-brand of Ferromonster. But this just blew me away. I mean, Joe, this is a knife that I'll never part with. It means that much to me. It's the same as this one here. Now, mind you, this wasn't a grill knife, but this was one that Jimmy Crow made that I won in Garrett's giveaway. There are certain knives that I will keep because they mean a lot to me because of either somebody gave them to me, or or there's an emotional attachment, family attachment. You guys, I've showed you guys my dad's K-bar from the Marines and that sort of thing. But this is a knife that I will always treasure. I love this so much. And Joe, I can't thank you enough. But Joe also sent along this Ace Beam flashlight. And his note continued on saying, the Ace Beam is awesome as well. A great, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Ace Beam is, the Ace Beam is awesome as well. Great together carry. It's a 14500 rechargeable battery. It's also a fidget. So this is a flashlight that's also a fidget. It's got this bolt action clip on it, so you can whatchamacallit, you can open it and close it. You can slide it in and out. So beside being a great flashlight, and it is bright, it is really bright, it's fun to play with. I never had a fidget flashlight before like that, and I'm just, Joe, if you were here, I'd hug you, man. It means that much to me. And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pay it forward. We always say, do something kind for someone in this community. We always say it, and I try to do it. And obviously Joe did it to me, and I just can't say enough. So I applaud you, Joe. That was just probably, Adventure Man, hello there, just probably the best gift I've gotten in ages. I didn't expect it. It just came out of the blue. I mean, Joe had messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, can I get your address? I want to send you something." And I didn't know what he was sending. So it came as a total surprise. I didn't know at all. Louie, what's up, buddy? So I just had to give Joe a shout out. You know, at first I didn't want to, I didn't know if he wanted me to tell people, but he was like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm glad because I want people to know, man, he's a stand up guy, really is. So I just appreciate that. So now that I'm getting all choked up, so and that's what came in this week. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I'm just I'm I'm still in shock. You know, like I said, I love this knife. I loved it from the moment I saw it online when originally it was getting sent around. You know, so obviously next week will be the giveaway for 1,500 subscribers, and in that I can tell you, Chris, Unprofessional Dad, is sending a knife over to begin the giveaway. Jimmy Crow sent a knife for the giveaway. So there's going to be a minimum of 2 knives in there, and I think I have something else to throw in there, and there's going to be some other things that are going in that. And that'll be the next big giveaway. And then I won't do one until we get to 2,000 subs, which I know, you know, it's not really that far at this point. You know, we hit the 1,500 mark, and now we passed 1,600. So 2,000 is not that far away. So there's going to be a big giveaway at that point. But I think next week's 1,500 giveaway is going to be really good, and I really want everybody there. It's going to be, I guess, it's going to be really good. Yeah. So now that we've got all that out of the way, what's everybody carrying today? You know, you guys saw I was carrying the mini Militar, and I was carrying the Piranha, which I showed you, and then of course I was carrying my little pocket jewelry knives, you know, which this was one that Big Red turned me on to. So I carry this now in this little sheath, little slip, and I just love this little knife. I mean, it's Rough Rider's a $10 knife, but man, I really love this thing. You know, it cuts really well. And at first I didn't know if that was real bone, but they say it is. You know, CKRT Ripple, nice. The Matriarch. Ooh, the Incendia is a really nice knife. Manix 2XL, beautiful. Thank you, Geek Machinist. I appreciate that. I absolutely appreciate that. The Manix, you know, the Manix, I have the Manix 2, and that is probably my favorite of the not the everyday carry knives that, you know, is that I don't consider the Manix, even though it's a you know, high level knife. I don't consider it like a Grail type of knife. I consider that a workhorse knife. And man, that one and the Para 3 lightweight, these are probably my favorite. Leatherman Arc, Squirt, SOG Power Pint. Yep, SOG Power Pint is always with me. I shouldn't say always. It's like 90% of the time with me. I rotate this with my Byberry that I have that they sent to the channel, which is over there, and my Leatherman. But primarily, the Power Pint's always with me. But I love Spyderco. You know, I have 4 Spyderco knives. I have the Manix 2, the Para 3. I have the Tenacious, which I understand people think it's a little overpriced for the steel type that it is, but it's a good knife. It really is. And then I have the Persistence, which is, you know, one of their inexpensive knives, but it's a great knife, you know. So what else is everybody carrying? The Bugout for knives. Rich White. Wait, the Coast. The Zebra. I am not. I've seen Coast knives around, but I've never actually felt one, you know, or handled one, I should say. The only thing I know about them is that for some reason, in one of the recent. Hello, Craig Vincent. So I heard Metal Complex talk about one, and he was making fun of it. Of course, it was in his TSA videos where he put all his knives in TSA. So the one he had was, oh, that's the flashlight. Okay, I thought it was one of their knives, because Coast makes knives now too. So as far as flashlight, what did I carry today? Oh, you saw it already. I carried the Ace Beam, and this is the Ace Beam. What's the model on this? The Rider RX. And this is, like I said, this is fun. I don't have a Rovi Vaughn. You know, I look at them. The Rat One, just done in my Carta. Hey, nothing wrong with that. The Rat One is a, you know, the Rat One, the Rat Two, and now the Rat 1.5, which is what I really want with the magnet cut. I mean, you can't beat a Rat. They are ergonomically fantastic, and they deploy well. They hold up. Yes, the inexpensive versions are what, an OS 8, I believe, which or yeah, I think it's an OS 8. Which OS 8, I don't really have a problem with it. Yes, it's not a super steel, but in its day, it was considered a high-end steel. So just remember, today's what we look at as a lower end product was the high end of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You know, I remember when OS 8 was hitting the market really big, and people were like, you know, spouting that as the next big thing, and every knife that was coming out was an OS 8. So I don't know. Again, you guys know me. We've talked about this. I'm not a steel snob at all. You know, I just enjoy knives, and I've got knives in just about every steel you can think of. Old man on the ridge, what's up? Definitely, Chris. I'm so glad you're here, buddy. I appreciate that so much. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Did I have this on the channel last week? I think I did, but if I didn't, this is the 704 gear. This is the, which one is this? This is the Ranger Light version 2 with the 14C28. I like this knife. You know, I like 704 gear. I think he does a good job with his stuff over there. I love his channel, by the way. If you're looking to save money, watch his channel, because he drops those Amazon deal alerts every week, and you can always save a bunch of money. And I'm not talking about going with Geico, but definitely. Really nice shape handle, you know, great jimping, really comfortable, and access bar lock, which is an upgrade over the originals, which were the liner locks in D2. Works fantastic. The only thing that's a little weird about it, so here on my Bugout, see the access lock there? Malcolm Holt, what's up? See that? The Spartan. Oh, I really want a Spartan blades. But look how far the studs stick out on that. I don't know if you can see that. That's the only thing I dislike about this. Justin, what's up, my buddy? So yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about this 704, is just how far the crossbar lock sticks out. You know, again, here's my Bugout, and you can barely see the crossbar lock. You know, carried the Tenable Model 6. Man, Tenables, obviously, I mean, I love the, you know, I love concept knives, but the Tenables, man, they are really like bangers for the money. So again, this was I showed this off last week, and I did this in the long form video. These are the Flytanium loop scales that I used for this, and I just think they just matched so well with this knife. Really upgraded the Benchmade. Robert Austin, hello there. And there's some new names in here. I don't know if that's because, you know, the whole thing with James McCann, what's up, buddy? I don't know if that's because, you know, YouTube's been playing with everybody's names this week, but so far your names all look the same, basically. I haven't seen any of the crazy names that I was seeing before. I don't know if that's something in the settings that's being done, or if maybe, you know what I was thinking? because I stream live directly through the YouTube app. I don't use StreamYard or anything. I'm wondering if it has to do with people who are using StreamYard and using the third-party services for their streams, because I'm not seeing it in everybody's lives. So, oh, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Uh-oh, wait, Louise is steel snob. Gotcha. I'm see again. I'm not a steel snob because I literally carry a different knife every day. I rotate my knives, and I've got a lot of them, and I rotate them, so my knives never get enough wear for me to ever really have to sharpen them. The only thing I ever have to do is touch them up, and I mean my work sharp field sharpener for the most part handles everything I need to touch up, and like with that new TCAL. Obviously, that's not something I can sharpen here because I only have the field sharpeners from Worksharp, but I can touch up anything, and I can I can bring back an edge. I just can't have an edge from scratch. So that's why that knife's going off to Boston Blade Works, who does amazing work. So there's that. That's why I've never been a steel snob. Now, I've been studying the steels. Now, I came across a knife today that was done in DC53. Not knowing a lot about DC53, I went and like instantly studied up on it. It's like because I like the knife, but not knowing enough about the DC53, I really wanted to find out what it was. And after closer examination and reading a bunch of stuff on it, I realized it's an improved D2. Basically, it's a carbon steel, but it actually holds an edge better than D2. It's tougher than D2, and even though it's not a true stainless, it is more corrosion resistant than D2. So it's a step up over D2. And I noticed there are a couple of knife companies who are now starting to use it more and more. You know, gentlemen of honor, welcome in. So and what I'm seeing is the reason why they're using it is because it's not all that much more expensive, but it's a little step up over D2. You know, yeah, exactly, titanium. Justin, I'll actually send you the knife I'm talking about because I don't remember it off the top of my head. I have it saved in my computer. Um, so otherwise, I would tell you what it is right now, but I don't remember. Sorry. But I was looking at the knife and I was like, DC53. So it's a steel to think about. I'm one of those guys, like, I need to know about something, and I will research it ad nauseum if I don't know. Baptism. Is that baptism by fire? Welcome in, baptism. And by the way, for everybody who is just new here, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hanging out. But if you could all subscribe to the channel, it'd be great. Um, for the people who just got here, because we have a lot more people than earlier, the channel is so close to monetization. We are 250 watch hours away, which will probably be hopefully by next live stream. By the way, I am going on 2 times next week. Big Red has moved his live stream to the afternoon, so I'm going to go on late Saturday night where he would generally be. I talked about that with Ron Crow. So what I may do, Ron, if you're still here, I'm gonna reach out to you. Maybe we'll do it together or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I'm definitely gonna go on at that time slot next week. So the 1 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll go on there Saturday, and then we'll go on again Sunday in our regular time because I really want to get those watch hours in. I want to get this channel monetized, and because I've got some fun stuff I want to do for members, some members only videos and that sort of thing. Speaking of videos, we're gonna have some videos dropping this week. I have videos coming out. They're gonna be on the new Expedition Platy series, the Platy pouches, the our company Checker notebook pouch. They sent me those. I've got, what else do I have? I have the TRM video that's going to come out. By the way, this is such a great little EDC fixie, tiny little guy by TRM. That's going to come out, and some other stuff. So it's not going to be all knife related. There's going to be some stuff intermixed, and I hope nobody minds that, because I really want this to be an all-encompassing EDC, not just knives. I know in the beginning I was heavy with knife content, and I've tried to sprinkle in some other stuff. So there's going to be a bunch of videos, but knife content's still going to be there. Don't worry, we're not getting away from that. Oh yeah, oh yeah, OG Batman, Michael Keaton. I listen. I go Adam West, Michael Keaton, and then everybody else follows. I like the campiness. I like the comic aspect of it. You know, Nicholson was great as the Joker. I just thought he delivered some of those lines, and just that movie's just a classic. I wasn't crazy about the second one with Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I just never connected with that one. But that first Batman, and with Prince doing the soundtrack, I just love it. Yeah, Val Kilmer is one of my favorites, whether it be from Real Genius, which I could watch that movie anytime it's on. Real Genius makes me laugh every single time. I love the story. I love that movie. Obviously, Tombstone. You know, he was great in that as Doc Holliday. Yep, exactly, Chris. You know, what kind of world is it where a man dressed as a bat gets my press? You gotta love lines like that. Mm, gotcha. But yeah, I loved everything about that movie. It was just fun, especially when it first came out. If you remember, the people who are old enough to remember when that Batman came out, they hyped up that movie for months. They were selling Bat merchandise, Batman this, Batman that. Obviously, the shirts, they were everywhere. Like you couldn't walk 5 feet without seeing something Batman related, all before the movie even came out. And then when it came out, it lived up to it. Sometimes movies don't. I haven't seen it, Chris. I'm behind. I don't watch a ton of movies. Um, Me and my wife are huge sports fans, so we watch sports first in front of everything. Um, Spaceballs, Spaceballs is fantastic, Neil. By the way, did anybody see the trailer for Spaceballs 2? Really funny trailer. I can't wait for that to come out. But we just don't watch a ton of movies. Um, One, it's getting to the point. I hate to say it, you don't know if you're safe going to the movies with big crowds and whatnot. So, like, we try to go to like off hour shows where there's not that many people in the theater for that reason. Just better safe than sorry. I doubt anything's ever going to happen, but you just don't know. It's a crazy kind of world. And with that, you know, like especially here in where I live in New Jersey, like I live in farm country here, this part of New Jersey, so everything's relatively quiet. But when you go further into like some of the bigger towns and you have to go to movie theaters, you have to go through metal detectors and everything. It's like going to the airport. I don't want to deal with that. So we don't watch a ton of movies. But and when we're home, sports is probably our primary focus. Like we went out today, we went grocery shopping, we came home and started watching baseball. As soon as baseball was over, we switched over and we were watching the U.S. soccer team play Costa Rica tonight. You know, and we sprinkled wrestling in between there because we're huge wrestling fans. And yes, I know it's predetermined. Don't even go. I know how it works. But so's a Rocky movie, and I still go to Rocky movies. Mm, gotcha. Yep, wrestling. Love wrestling. Have since I was a kid. I had an uncle in the business growing up, and even before they came out and said it was predetermined, because I won't use the F word, by the way. Too many people get hurt, and too many people put their lives on the line for it to be the F word. So it's predetermined. It's scripted, yes. But so's every movie I've ever seen. You know, when I go see a Rocky movie, I know it's predetermined and scripted. Wrestling's no different. You know, You have basically professional athletes playing, acting. Yeah, well, yeah, with the kids, I get that. So, Chris, my friends, close friends of mine, they had a set of twin boys, and these kids would watch wrestling, and they would try to do everything that they saw on TV. You know, Bless Knives, what's up, brother? Glad you're here, man. Appreciate that. So they would watch wrestling, and they would want to do every move they saw in wrestling. But these kids were like 4 years old, and they were constantly getting hurt. Not in a no, not in a bad way, but they would fall, skin their knees, do all that kind of good stuff the kids do. But one day, I had the pleasure of having to babysit, and I had never babysat in my life. I happened to go over to hang out with my friends. They're like, "Oh, we have to go to a conference at school for our older son. Could you watch the twins?" Now they're like 4 years old at the time, and they're little conniving kids. I mean, they're awesome kids, but they're adults now. They're in their 20s, but when I was watching them, right, first they did. The parents would go to school. They're like, "Hey," they're like, "Can we have candy?" I'm like, "I don't think your mom wants you having candy." They're like, "No, no, she gives us candy all the time." I'm like, and I looked at them, I was like, "Yeah, then why does she hide it up in the top cabinets where you can't reach it?" They're like, "No." I was like, "No, you're not getting candy," right? So I leave the room only to hear a crashing noise. And it's them, Ralph Robinson, hello there. It's them dragging chairs into the kitchen so they could climb up. That's the type of kids they were. They were very adventurous, type of thing. Nothing we didn't do either when we were kids, but they would want to watch wrestling, and they would wrestle. And it's just amazing, like, that kind of energy. First of all, I don't even think when I was younger I had that. That's not true. I had a lot of energy when I was younger, but to watch those kids just want to emulate everything they see on TV, and I was just like, yep. I was like, I get it when people say things are a bad influence. But yeah, I've loved wrestling since I was a kid. So, and I got my wife into it, even though she watched it a little bit, but now she watches it with me. And we actually have these, like on weekends, sometimes we'll just go out on a long drive, just get out of the house. And, you guys know I do a lot of hiking and whatnot. So, like on our way to a hiking spot or whatever, we'll just sit and we'll analyze. What do we just watch? How does that script, how do you think it's going to play out? No, I think it's going to play out this way. I think it's going to play out that way, sort of thing. But it's always a lot of fun. We've got 50 people in here, and I love it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the support so much for you guys coming to hang out. So yeah, there's that kind of stuff. And for people who weren't here last week, I don't know if you guys, I know so once you were here, but so this knife here, the Civivi Krabby, this was given to me. This is another knife that I will never get rid of. Just like now Joe gave me this one. This is one I will never get rid of. The Civivi Krabby. Because Ken Onion Jr., the designer, gave this to me himself. I became friends with Ken. We talked a bunch. And when he got these, samples to give out, he hit me up right away. He said, "Do you want one?" And then he asked me which color I wanted. And I absolutely love this knife. This is just, a lot of people will sleep on this knife. Craig Vincent, I don't know if I said hello, but if I didn't, hello. People will sleep on this because it looks like a lot of other knives, but it's got some interesting, unique things about it. So when you close it up and you look at it, see the profile, you just see the blade. But what you don't realize is that is cut out right there, and that's actually the front flipper. It's a neat little design because it hides the front flipper in the regular lines of the knife. And that front flipper works really well. But what's great about that, because of where it's cut out to let that front flipper be within the lines, that scale works as part of the finger choil. So it's a really nice design element. So this is a 3.5 finger, it's a 4-finger knife. But you can choke up right there because of the finger choil. It's got some nice jimping on top. It's just a really, very functional, really great little work knife, or working knife, I should say. And again, this means a lot to me because when the designer reaches out to you and you become friends with me, says, "Hey, do you want to try my knife?" And I'm one of the first people he gave it to. It didn't come from Civivi. It came directly from Ken Onion Jr. So this just means a lot to me. Oh, thank you, gentlemen of honor. I appreciate that. Yep, we are getting so close. So close. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun, you know. Everybody's got their things. Big Red has his ray gun. Rob's got the kazoo. I told you guys, we're gonna be playing with the lightsaber. When we do member salutes, it's gonna be with a lightsaber. Because yes, I'm a geek at heart. But yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah, it was. I very honored by that, and I appreciated that more than anything, you know. Um, but yeah, cool stuff. Very cool stuff there. But I could do guitar salutes for you guys, but the problem is, generally speaking, my wife is asleep. This is my recording studio. Our bedroom's on the other side of this wall. So if I get too loud, I'll wake my wife up. But we could just sit here and play guitar as a salute, that sort of thing. But not in the late night lives. Maybe if we ever do some afternoon lives, we can do some guitar playing and stuff, as salutes to channel members once we get to that point. But by the way, this is a really pretty guitar. It's a Silvertone 67 Hawk. And just a fun guitar with lipstick pickups. I know my guitar friends out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. But, just fun stuff. Actually, this rack of guitars is going to be moved soon. Nice. Now, Neil, is that a USA made Ovation, or is that one of the ones when they went overseas? Was that one of the ones that was made in Kalamazoo? Yes, that magic note, Rolf. What is it? They call it the brown note, the one that'll make you poop. The mythical brown note. Chris, I appreciate you being here so much. You don't know, that means a lot to me. So, thank you. Yeah, home of Gibson. Yes, the brown sound. Speaking of ovations, so you guys do this to me every week. You guys mention stuff, and then I have to pull stuff out. Another game of show and tell. Let's put this guitar here. This guitar is beaten to hell. But can we get it out? So this is my Ovation Legacy. This one is actually made in the U.S. Let's see. I forget where this one was made. I know it's made in the U.S. Was it Kalamazoo? Let's check it out. Oh no, this one's made in New Hartford in the U.S. Yeah, made in New Hartford, but USA made. And I've had that for a long time now. So, put that back there. We'll throw this one back here. Is anybody out there a Kiss fan? I don't know what year they stopped USA manufacturing, to be honest. What do I have in here yet? But is anybody out there a Kiss fan, or is it just me? Because this is something kind of cool, even though it's in a Gibson case. This is a Paul Stanley model that's actually autographed by Paul Stanley of Kiss. It's a Lion by Washburn. So, but yep, I've got this. I've got the certificate of authenticity that goes with it. They put these out, and they put out a ton of them. It's not like it's rare, but they put out a bunch of these. This one's been beaten up. It's probably just going to go in a display case at some point. But yeah, one of my favorite this goes along with my altar of Kiss memorabilia that's up there. You know, I've got the autograph of everybody who's ever been in the band except for one, Eric Carr. And unfortunately he passed away, so for me to get one of those, it's gonna be a lot of money. So there's that. You know, the crack mirror Icemen are really nice. But yeah, I would always want one of those too. But since I've been downsizing the collection, I don't think I'm gonna get one. You know, I've got the PS10 over there. But yeah. So we're almost at an hour tonight, which is great. And I've still got a full head of steam. Hopefully you guys do too and want to hang out. Anybody take advantage of any of the new Olight stuff that came out this week? Just curious. Did I see Derek for real? Derek, what is up, my friend? Your iPhone's pissing you off? I'm sorry. My iPhone. I like my iPhone. It works well for me. But you know, One Moon Collective. How have you been? I haven't seen you in here in a little bit. Glad you're here. I appreciate it. You know, Derek, what is going on? So I just kind of got lost there for a second. But oh yeah, the Olight premium on eBay. Nice, Neil. Yeah, definitely spinning the wheel, getting my 50 points every day. You know, I have one on the wheel twice. Um, trying to remember, I haven't won recently, but I did win on the wheel twice over the last few years. I won one. Oh yeah, I won. I think the i5T one time, and then I won one of the Roboto knives when they had that on the wheel. So I got lucky. But lately it's just been 50 points, 50 points, you know. Rolf, how do you like the diffuse? I like the fact that it's not round. So you could put it down and not worry about it rolling off the table, you know, especially when I'm working on knives. I have a tendency sometimes to put stuff down and it rolls. That's why I use that magnetic pad that you see in all my videos. Good night, Burnt Relic. I didn't realize you were here, so hello and good night. I appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, it's a pocket dropper. It's definitely not. I know there's no clip on that, but I don't mind that so much. 700 ohm. Yeah, I mean it's not bad, not bad at all. You know. Yeah, I like everything that Olight does. You know, they haven't sent me any products to review. It doesn't matter because I still like all their products. You know, the only flashlight company that's been sending me stuff to review is Workos, and so far so good. I've had good luck with their products. I was using Workos before they actually sent me stuff, and that's how they contacted me because they saw one of my videos that had one of their flashlights in it. So and then they were like, "Do you want to try these two?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" You know, I pretty much don't say no to many companies who want to send me stuff. Um, I have a product now that I just don't know how to do a video for it, to be honest. And it's a camping fan, one that works as a light with a that's also works as a battery bank, and it's a fan and it's powerful and it's fairly quiet, but I don't know how to present it because I want to show it outside and in the house, but every weekend up till this weekend it's rained. We had 14 straight weekends of rain here in New Jersey. So I love Devo, one of my favorite bands, and in fact, they are touring with the B-52s currently. and I really want to go to that show. Um, because of my job, I get a lot of concert tickets thrown my way by radio stations that my company advertises with. So with that being said, we've got tickets for Bret Michaels and Vince Neil on their tour. We've got tickets to Offspring on their tour. We've got, I'm trying to remember who else. Weird Al Yankovic, because I love Weird Al, you know. Um, who else do we have tickets for? Oh, Def Leppard. They're coming around. I have tickets for that. And yeah, those are the four I have lined up. There's a couple of others I may request tickets for, but the dates haven't really been announced. But I know they're coming this way. Oh God, I love Judas Priest. Judas Priest is one of the best concerts I've ever seen. I saw them on. Oh, unfortunately, I saw them on the Turbo tour, which Turbo is a terrible album, but they only played like two songs from that, so that was fine. I saw them with Cinderella opening up for them at the Brendan Byrne Arena in New Jersey. So I don't think Ralph. I don't think he's really retiring. You know, I know he's been touring again or playing one-off shows with his other band Fight, who Fight is an amazing band if you like heavier music, heavier than Priest. Fight was fantastic. Kathleen Smith, hello there. I don't know if I said hello to you or not, and if I didn't, I'm sorry. I know you've been in here, but Rob Halford, when he was singing for Fight, which was his band when he had left Judas Priest, they were amazing. They were heavy, and I know he's been doing one-off shows with them recently, um, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, Yako, the guy's 74 and his voice is still amazing. Um, I saw Fight open up for Anthrax at the Roseland Ballroom in Manhattan, and man, what a show that was! And that's when Anthrax was with John Bush as the lead singer. So it was when Joey Belladonna had left the band, they replaced him with John Bush, and that was a great album. John Bush did a great job. I think he got screwed when you know. Oh yeah, absolutely. Diamonds of Rust is great, and then of course the Stormtroopers of Death made fun of Judas Priest with Diamonds of Rust. So on their classic album, Speak English or Die, which you couldn't play today because if you played it today, the um, it's just so offensive. It was intentionally offensive, all tongue in cheek, but people would just lose their minds if that ever got played today. You know, I mean, the name of the album is called "Speak English or Die." That would trigger so many people right there. You know, Devo's music was way ahead of its time. I think if they had come out instead of coming out in the mid '70s, if they had come around in the '90s, but with that music, they would have been a much bigger band than they were. Um, you know, I mean, think about it. It's 50 years later; they're still touring. You know, they're making money. And Mark Mothersbaugh, he has written so much music for TV and movies that you've heard his songs and don't even realize it. Like if you watched Rugrats as a kid, for the people who are young enough to watch Rugrats, that was all his music, you know? The Maroni, hello there. This is great, by the way. I'm loving this. We've got 50 people in here hanging out. Oh, yeah, LCD Sound System. My favorite song by them is North American Scum. Great song. For years, if anybody listens to XM radio and listens to, at the time, the Ron and Fez show, they used to open the show with that song. It's such a great song. You know, they are a great band. But yeah, a lot of bands, a lot of bands like of that genre owe their music to Devo. You know, they were doing. I mean, in the '70s, nobody sounded like Devo. Really, nobody sounded like them. You know, but yeah, Oh, that's awesome, Yako. I'm glad you're feeling at peace. You know. By the way, did anybody hear from Caleb today? I was talking to him last night. Some of you know he's in the hospital and he's having some problems. I mean, it's not life threatening. I talked to him about it yesterday after I talked, but I was just wondering if anybody heard from him because I didn't hear from him today. Oh, Yako, come on now. Let's all be nice to each other. But yeah, exactly. I heard from him last night. You know. See, I don't know anything, Yako. See, I don't know anything about that, so I can't comment. To be honest, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to say either way because I really don't know the story. I don't know the details, but you know, yeah, I know he wasn't going home anytime soon. Um, he had asked me if he wasn't able to do his show this Tuesday if I could jump in and do it, but I want to find out how he's doing. You know, but we'll see. I hope he's doing all right. I know he wasn't feeling well, and that's the thing. Like I don't want to see when anybody thinks of anybody. You don't want to see somebody get sick or get hurt or anything like that. It's just not good karma. You know, but that's a whole nother thing. I was just wondering. I'm not going to comment, Yako. I guess I just don't know the story. Like I really don't. So I don't want to. You know, I'm friends with both of you guys. You know that. So, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not going to judge. No, it's fine, Yako. It's fine. That's one thing. I will never censor what people want to say. That's fine. I don't believe in censoring anything. I'm just saying for myself. I don't know the story, so I can't really comment. If I knew more about it, I would say yeah, absolutely. But I might have missed that. You know. How about them Jets? Oh boy. I think they're going to be better this year. I think Aaron Glenn's going to turn that team around. I don't know if they can make the playoffs. They're going to be better than they were last year. And I think we saw with Pittsburgh last year, Justin Fields, those first 4 games when Russell Wilson was out. I mean, he went what 3-1 during those games. He was starting to show a lot, and I think he's got enough experience now that he's going to be a better quarterback. Ace Frehley solo work. Well, funny you say. So this little cube here, or this little pyramid, is from the Anomaly album with Mr. Ace Frehley. I love Ace. And for people who don't know, Ace lives in this neighborhood. Ace moved to New Jersey about, I forget how many years back, and he frequents the same supermarket I do, although I have not seen him there, but I have friends who have bumped into him there. So, well, yeah, I know a lot of Steelers fans who just aren't happy at all right now with Rodgers. You know, so that's all the terms. I mean, I think Rodgers didn't get the greatest deal here with the Jets. So, but getting back to Ace Frehley in music, yeah. So Ace lives nearby, and in fact, he shops in Sparta at the shop right there. And apparently, whenever he's good friends with the store manager there, and when he's in the store manager will play Kiss over the loudspeakers. I haven't been there personally, but that's what I've been told. So, but yeah, in fact, he frequents one of the motorcycle shops that I go to. I just haven't run into him, you know. Also, not far from me, pretty much around the corner from where I live, Jerry Only from the Misfits lives there. And in fact, the Misfits, their father owns a furniture fabrication factory, and I am in Sussex County. So I'm in actually Wantage, so I border Vernon, Hamburg, that area. I am in the northwest corner of the state, so I am where New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania all meet, right in that corner. So, in fact, if you go about 15 minutes, 20 minutes up the road, there's a spot where there's a marker where all three states meet. Yep. And most people don't realize that New York Groove is a cover. They think it's his song, but in fact, it is a cover. Yes. Or as we like to call it up in this area, Traction Park or Class Action Park because of all the class action lawsuits. But it still exists, by the way. It just doesn't exist as Action Park. It's now called Mountain Creek. And they what you call it? They've made it much safer. It's a much more legitimate place to go where you're not going to risk getting killed every time you go on a ride. But with that being said, a couple of years back, they were trying to take advantage of the uh, Johnny Knoxville movie. So they were calling Mountain Creek. They changed all the signs to Action Park for one season. And I think some of that had to do with they were also filming a documentary about it. So they were calling it Action Park for one more time. In fact, there's a guy locally who's selling some of the speedboats from Action Park. Oh yeah, believe it or not, I didn't live here at the time. I grew up in New York City, so we would actually come to Action Park from New York City. That, or we'd go to Great Adventure, Six Flags Great Adventure. But yeah, I went to Action Park twice, and one, not a great place, and at the time I wasn't a strong swimmer. Not a great place if you're not a strong swimmer. But I was forced to go there by a girlfriend I was with at the time because she wanted to go and I wanted to go to Great Adventure. And she's like, we always go to Great Adventure. I'm going to Action Park. So we went to Action Park and we went there twice. And one time we were going down the slide. We were on the rubber raft. And when I hit the water on the bottom, it flipped over and I could barely swim at that point. I was underwater and the raft was above me. Now, mind you, I wasn't as big as I am now. Um, I actually grabbed the raft and pulled myself out of the water with the raft and got my head over water and then, got out of the area. But I was panicked, just panicked, because I wasn't a strong swimmer at the time. I learned how to swim. I didn't learn how to swim till I was like 26 years old because I grew up in the city and we didn't have a pool. Oh yeah, those rafts were heavy. They were that thick, heavy duty rubber, so that way, no matter what they hit, they wouldn't rip. They weren't like those inflatable ones you buy at like you know whoever. I don't know where you get anymore. I was gonna say Toys R Us, but Toys R Us doesn't really exist anymore, and there's only a couple of them now that reopened here in Jersey. But I don't know where you'd get them. But a Walmart. They're not the ones you'd get at Walmart. Those were those real, actual life raft type of rafts. But there's a guy who's not far from here who has two of the speedboats that were originally belonging to Action Park, and he's selling those without the motors, and those are Coast Guard approved, so you can take them out. I mean, they're legitimate small one man speedboats, you know, and one's in rough shape, like would need to be redone. The other one's in good shape. Man, I would love to get a hold of one of those. Throw a little, 15 horsepower motor on that thing, get out on the lake with it. It would be a lot of fun, I think. I watched a lot of videos of people who build these one man little speedboats, and they look like they're so much fun. Yeah, but if you like some of Ace's covers, I mean, he did the Origins album, and then he did Origins 2, which I actually think are two of his better albums in recent years because one, there's a lot of guest stars on those albums. But Origins 1 and Origins 2 are just fantastic. I like Origins 1 a little bit better than Origins 2, but it's interesting to see the songs that influenced him and what he plays. I love his version of Fox on the Run by Sweet. He did a great job with that. Um, you know, he even did the song where he co-sang with Paul Stanley. You know, he covered, I think it was a Fog Hat song. I forget whose song it was, but that was a great one. Um, he did the cover of Spanish Castle Magic by Jimmy and did a really good job with that. You know, I think he did White Room by Cream. Just a great. Just so many covers. Now the Origins 3 is coming out soon. He's on tour. He never stops touring. The guy's 74 years old and he's out there. And the fact that he's been clean and sober now for so long, and he looks good. You know, he sounds great, but we lost a lot of people. We're down to 38. People are getting tired of the music talk, but I have not listened to it, Neil. But I'm sure. I mean, let's face it. He always fashioned his singing as a combination of Elvis and Jim Morrison. Oh, so like I was saying, the Misfits, their warehouse where they keep all the gear is like 10 minutes from here. Jerry lives around the corner. Um, in fact, on a hot day, if you drive by their warehouse, they keep the door open to get air in, and you can see the Misfits logo painted on the inside of the door. Kind of cool, you know. Well, they didn't really leave Kiss. I mean, they did and they didn't. I mean, Peter was fired. Ace did leave on his own, and then when they came back, again, they were both fired. So it is what it is, though. But I've always loved Ace's solo material. When he was in really bad shape in the late '80s, and Eddie Trunk from That Metal Show really got him signed, because Eddie was signing people for Megaforce Records at that point, and got him signed to Megaforce Records, and that first album came out, Freely's Comet. That first Freely's Comet album is amazing. Oh, really? I never heard it. I'll have to check that out. Let me just. Nice. Well, I got you, Ron. But Ace has put out good albums. Trouble Walking was a great album. Freely's Comet, or Second Sighting, was not a good album, and that's because Ace was really bad on drugs again at that point, and it's just not a good album. The first Freely's Comet album is amazing. Trouble Walking is a great album. Space Invader is a really great album. Anomaly is a really good album. You know, I have never liked any of the Peter Criss solo stuff at all, and probably Peter Criss, out of the original band members, is my least favorite. Um, I just he's not a great drummer. He fit their style, but he's not a great drummer. And I do like his vocal work. He had a really raspy, fun rock and roll voice. But you know, if you listen to the four solo albums from 1978, which, by the way, Kiss holds the record for most platinum albums in one year. People don't realize that. And that's because they dropped four albums on the same day under the Kiss moniker, but they were all solo albums, and all four of them went platinum. So in '78, they all have platinum albums. Plus, they earlier in the year released. I let me get my, wasn't was it Rock and Roll Over, I believe. No. It was Love Gun, I believe, that year. So that also went platinum. So they have like five platinum albums in one year. Kiss has never had a number one. The highest Beth ever went to, I believe, was number three, but it is their highest charting song of all time. Yes, um, that and I Was Made for Loving You. Those are the only two that broke into the top 10. But they were never a singles band. They were a live band. They were almost done. Their first three albums didn't sell dime one. It wasn't until Alive One came out that all of a sudden people went nuts for them, because they released Alive One, which is still by many considered one of the greatest live albums ever, even though we all know that a lot of it was reproduced in the studio. It was recorded live, and then they went in and touched up all the vocals. They went in and touched up all the guitar and everything else. They were the first band that ever really did that, and they tried to capture their live show. And then after that, they released a box set called The Originals, which were the first 3 albums that sold really well, and that put them on the map. And then Alive 2 came out, and to me, Alive 2 is my favorite of all the Alive albums. I like that I look at Kiss and I don't know why I'm going off on a Kiss history lesson, but I take their albums in blocks. You have Kiss, Dressed to Kill, Hotter Than Hell. Those are the first 3 albums. That's what I look at. Then you have, after that, you have Rock and Roll Over, Detroit Rock City, and Love Gun. Those are the next 3. Then after that, you have Dynasty. Oh boy, I'm drawing a blank. Dynasty. Then you have, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? It's the one with the cartoon album cover. Wow. Shandy's on that one, Torpedo Girl, all those songs. Unmasked. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it goes Dynasty, Unmasked, and then, yes, Unmasked, exactly. Dynasty, Unmasked, and then The Elder. Those are the next 3. So their albums came out like blocks of 3 from, and you could break those, and that's all the original lineup on those 3, except for on Music from the Elder that had Eric Carr, but that had Eric Carr in makeup. He had his own makeup, and then later, then you have the next step. Oh yeah, AC/DC I absolutely love, but I prefer the Bon Scott era over the Brian Johnson era. Psycho Circus was after they got back together in '96 when they did the reunion tours, and then Psycho Circus came out. Problem with Psycho Circus is there's not one song on that whole album that all 4 of them were in the same room at the same time to record. Realistically, Ace only has involvement on 2 songs, and Peter only plays on 1 song. So it's the first album with the original band, so to speak, back together, but it really wasn't. But yeah, that album could have been a lot more, but for some reason, and depends on the story. Like, I've read all 4 band members' accounts, that from all their books, and I read them all in order, and how 4 guys tell the story of the band so differently, and they see it differently, 4 different perspectives, obviously, with Gene being the only one who at no point did drugs or alcohol, so his perspective is probably the most clear. Even Paul used to drink wine and alcohol, even though he wasn't an alcoholic, but he would. Where Peter and Ace's depictions, who knows, because they were seeing everything through drug and alcohol fueled eyes, So that's the way I look at it. But exactly. The thing about Kiss, and I tell this to everybody, they're like going to a Broadway show. It's done in certain acts with costumes, big special effects, lasers. They put on a show. They weren't Pearl Jam, who just got up there in flannels and jeans and played. And there's nothing wrong with bands who do that. But I love the big, bombastic entertainment factor. When I saw Judas Priest, they were the same way. Giant stage, Robert Halford riding his Harley Davidson around the stage. Lasers, lights. Like, I love big stage shows like that. I'm a sucker for that stuff. I love Iron Maiden when Eddie's running around the stage, and the same thing. They got this big giant stage that's moving around, and you got Bruce Dickinson, coming out dressed in an old English army uniform, wielding a sword and fighting with Eddie. Just great stuff. It's entertainment. I can go to any bar and see just 4 guys sitting there playing. I mean, hell, I could do that. But I love the big show aspect of it. Another one who has a big show aspect of it, and now that he's clean and sober, I hear he's putting out great shows again. That's Marilyn Manson. Yes, the first cut is the deepest. Yep. Or Brian Adams because it cuts like a knife. Yeah, Eddie Vedder used to do that stuff. When they played Lemoore, was it Lemoore? Yeah, it was. I think yeah, it was Lemoore. The Club Lemoore in Brooklyn had this big pipe that went through the middle of the club, and he climbed out on that pipe and was basically hanging upside down by his legs, waving at the crowd underneath him. So yeah, kind of crazy stuff, you know. But I love those big stage shows, over the top type of deals, you know. But Marilyn Manson does the same thing. When I saw Marilyn Manson on the Antichrist Superstar tour, and Dio's got one of the best voices ever in music. But Manson came up. There was a crucifix made of TVs. They all did moving images, and it was in the ground. And all of a sudden, he came up and he's hanging from the cross, and then comes down off there and starts singing. I mean, it was a spectacle, man. And he would do costume changes. That was almost like a Broadway show as well, you know. But I've been to so many concerts over the years. I just love music. It's you know, music. Everything music related is probably my first love. You know, knives are right up there now. Knives and outdoor stuff, but shopping for skiffs. Cicero, what's up? Which reminds me, I still have a set of skiffs sitting here. Yeah, I have a set of skiffs sitting here for one of my Flytanium knives. So I got to put these in. I keep forgetting about it. Man, I love Primus. Les Claypool is just amazing, amazing. But getting back to knives, I have a question for everybody. So obviously we all love knives, but most of us are into EDC. But I'm one of those guys. I do a lot of camping and bushcrafting, so I have a different perspective sometimes on knives than guys who just EDC. And there's nothing wrong with just EDCing. I get it. A lot of people do that. But since I'm a big camper and fisherman and hiker and that sort of stuff, I like my bushcraft knives as well, you know, and I like some of those hard use knives. But I mean, how many people out there are actually hard using their knives? I'm just curious because like my folding knives never get hard use. They just don't, you know. My fixed blade knives will, like when I'm camping and whatnot. I'll take folders with me, but for the most part, I'm using fixed blades for most of my camping stuff. You know, I was just wondering how many other people, you know, hard use their knives. We're almost at 90 minutes. Still having fun, folks? Because I am. I love doing this with you guys every Sunday. This is so much fun. Just hanging, shooting the breeze, as they say. Gotcha. Well, I have my favorite. Obviously, it's more of a sentimental because I don't actually use it. Is my dad's K-bar Marine Corps knife. That's my favorite fixed blade. But as far as like for EDC, um, my for EDC, my Piranha, the TKL Piranha, is one of my favorites. My I have two different Kaiser buddies. I love the Kaiser buddy. It's a great EDC knife. Um, since I got the Bloom, I've been carrying the Bloom a lot. This one, I haven't used it yet. I just got this one, but I know these are great knives. Gideon's Tactical has reviewed these, and that's the Odin Wolf. I can't wait to get this out on the campsite and baton wood with it and do all that kind of stuff. I get that. I get that brown sugar. you know. My waxed wing. Let's see what else I got down here. This has been one that I've carried a lot recently, and that's this one, the Kaiser Groom. This is a fun EDC fixed blade. Not going to be a hard use knife, but I love the shape of it. It's so unique, you know. And again, I'll scout carry that with the Tech Lock. You know, what else do I got down here? Where's some other knives I have? Oh, this is a very underrated. This is a really underrated fixed blade. This is a Flissa. These things you can get for around 20 bucks. And it's a little bit bigger than most of my other ED. It's like an in-between size knife. But this thing's great. No, I don't use the K-bar at all. Believe it or not, what I use most are Mora knives. I mean, a Mora knife is just going to hold up. In fact, I have a new one because my other one has gotten beat to hell. And I'm showing everybody this one. Let me just grab it. It's right here. I dropped. Okay. All right. Here we go. So these are some of my newer fixed blades and old school Mora knife. Now this one I have the upgraded sheath for. This is not the Mora knife sheath. This is an aftermarket. But I mean, you can't go wrong with a Mora knife. These things will take a beating and just keep going. You can't kill a Mora knife. You really can't. That's why they're so popular amongst bushcrafters. You know, with all the expensive blades out there, this is probably still the most carried bushcraft knife out there. You know, I am looking forward. Another one I'm looking forward to taking out. This is the off-grid. This is the off-grid Sidekick. It's a little bigger, but yeah, exactly. But yeah, this one is just, I mean, compared to some of the other knives, I was showing you guys this last week, but just say, for instance, the Kaiser Buddy, very thin handle. The off-grid, very wide, meaty handle, something you can really dig a grip into. Jimping here on top of, full tang, jimping right here on top of the handle, but also jimping that goes along here, and that is aggressive jimping. This is just a brute of a knife. And I can't wait to put this one to the test. I mean, off-grid is just super, super. Yeah, I have the little Odin Wolf neck knife that I've used a lot, and that's been great. And like I said, I got this one because one, G-Ball actually has used this a lot, and he said a lot of good things about him. And I trust G-Ball that he's not making it up. Greg's a pretty stand-up guy. And Gideon's Tactical, he did a video, and he was like just raving over this. And if you ever watch Gideon's videos, he puts his knives through the test, So it's like, I definitely want to try this. I do want to, at some point, maybe get a Tops, Yeah, I'm a big fan of off-grid stuff. Now, the next one I want to try, that is here in the box, but I have to send this one off because this one is part of a pass-around group, and that is the Rosecraft. This one actually gets sent off to Bubba's EDC. This thing is also another chunky monster. Really nice design, big size on this. As part of the pass-around group, you wind up getting all 4 of the new Rosecraft fixed blades. And then the last one that you get to test, you get to keep. So I'm looking forward to that one because that's the Rosecraft, the what is it, the model on that? Yeah, this one's the F2. The one I get to keep is the F4. And I'm looking forward to it because that's the one with the Tanto point. So, you know, but I mean, I did a video on this. It hasn't come out yet, but this is really built well, super well. Very impressed with Rosecraft's first go at fixed blade knives. I mean, like I said, I'm super impressed. You know, I think Andy Armstrong just, well, the first one I did the review video up, and that's up. That was designed by Swags. I like Swags designs in her folders, so I naturally liked her fixed blade. I thought it was really good. It wasn't a giant sized. Like this is I think this one is the longest one they have in the set, and then the F1 and the F3 are a little smaller, closer to EDC size, where this is a little bit closer to outdoor use, and so is the F4. So I don't know. I have some. I mean, it's, you know, we're almost into July. I have had some camping trips set up, and just because of the weather, I've canceled them. But I plan to get out a couple of times, at least, if not more. I want to get the knife I really want right now is the BPS, the one that was designed by the Dutch, they're not the Dutch brothers, the Dutch bushcrafters. Those guys, I love their videos, pretty cool. But they designed one that BPS puts out. It's around $44, and that design looks great. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. You know, but I do want to. At some point, I want to get a tops, I mean, ideally, I'd love to get something from Montana Knife Company, but the price is ridiculous. I can't justify paying $300. You know, Recon Scout. Gotcha. Like I just can't. In my head, I can't justify paying that much for a fixed blade, and I know it'll probably last forever. I hear nothing but great things about Montana Knife Company's knives. You know, but I just no. Oh, they beat the hell out of those knives. Um, there's a set of guys, and I haven't seen them put any new videos up. These were two guys, I think, like Tactical EDC or something they were called, and they had their logo was an ant of some sort, and those guys would beat the crap out of folding knives, putting them through tests. And one of the ones that surprised me as far as a folding knife went, that passed all their tests, was the Sativian, the ST28, which is a knife you can get for like $21, and it outdid everything in all their tests. Beat the hell out of it, and it survived. I gotta find a link for those guys. Those guys are really good, man. They're not doing anything now. I haven't seen them put anything new content up in a year, but they were hard using it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find them real quick, so I can kind of tell you who they are. Let's go to the videotape. YouTube. My subscriptions. No. Yes, subscriptions. All of them. You guys wouldn't believe the amount of channels I'm subscribed to. I have 5 email notifications, yes. I think it's Tactical EDC. Let's go. Right? No. I'm not going to be able to find them now that I want to. I'll have to find it and give you guys the link at some point. But man, those guys would beat the hell out of all these knives. know, if I just look for the icon, it'd probably be easier. I remember their icon. Thing about them is they put these knives through things that you're not supposed to put knives through. You know. Why can't I find them? Of course I'm not finding what I wanted. All right. Let me not keep searching for this, because if I do it and I don't find it, we're just going to sit here watching me just scroll through my iPad. But, geez Louise. I don't know. I'm not finding it, but I'll have to find it and tell you guys what the channel is again. Those guys would beat the hell out of knives. Gareth, hello there, my friend. Gareth, I don't know if you've actually seen it, but that is the knife that I won in your giveaway. And I thank you so much for that. You and Jimmy Crow. So, look at that. The quote bees. Look at it. Would you just look at it and all its crowness? Mick Ranger, hello there. Mick, have you been here the whole time and I just missed you? But look at that. That's just beautiful. Yeah, Dutch Bushcraft. I like those guys. You know. But they had their knife with BPS, which is only like I said, it's like $44. It was out of stock for a while on Amazon. Amazon just got it back in. But, you know, those knives are tested really well. Again, Gideon's Tacticals put all those BPS knives through the test. And they held up. So what happens is every time we do a live, I wind up taking out so much stuff that this table in front of me just now has knives everywhere. Knives on top of knives, you know. And then I have to go through it all and put it all away later. So there's that. So I'll work on that for like a half hour, like after the show's over, before I can do anything else. But yeah. So getting back to what we were looking at before, this is the Three Rivers Manufacturing, just to tag along. What a great little knife. You know, just super, super knife. Made in the USA, obviously, Massachusetts. It's a little 3-finger guy. They do include in the box, you know, a leather lanyard that you can add to it. And it comes with, what I love, it's a leather sheath that they give you, taco style. You actually get a choice, taco or pancake, but they sent me the taco one. And it's drilled out so you can put an ulti clip on it, or you can put scout straps. You know, you're not stuck with a leather sheath, kind of like this one that is just a little belt thingy. So, but I seriously can't wait to get this out to Boston Blade Works to get the edge put on this. I'm so looking forward to this one, because it's just bigger than my other TCal, you know, just big enough. Which, you know, it's just a little bigger. But this one's great for EDC, but I think this one you could use for a little bit more than EDC, although it's very tactical. But yeah. Now I have to figure out what I want to carry tomorrow. I haven't thought about, because I usually lay out my stuff at night before I go to bed, so that way when I get up, take my shower in the morning and get, you know, throw myself together for work, that I can just grab everything and go. You know, I may change up what I'm carrying. I may wind up carrying the CJRB, but Yes, they are. Absolutely. They're in Massachusetts. Yep. Yep. I'm looking forward to actually hanging out with those guys in August at the New York Custom Knife Show. They're going to be there and have a booth set up. So I'm looking really forward to hanging out with them. You know, pick their brain, see what else they have in the works. But so Gareth, what's new in South Africa that we should know about? By the way, I have a box of pickled steel that came to me the other day that I have to do a bunch of videos on. So, but I'm looking forward to doing that because there are some fixed blades in there that look pretty cool. You know, it's really funny. I wasn't into fixed blades for EDC until G-Ball Vision really kind of convinced me that they're a great idea. You know, Greg is always talking about fixed blades for EDC, and he said it like I don't know, like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Said that's going to be the next big wave, and he's right. Every company under the sun now is releasing, um, like seems like every month they're releasing new EDC fixed blades, and we as consumers just keep buying them up. By the way, you guys watch Pocket Theory? Pocket Theory is a fun channel. Um, but he had a video that just came out, and he was talking about something, and I've never agreed with somebody more than I agree with him. And what he was talking about is the use of the word budget when we talk about knives and EDC. And it's almost like budgets become this stigma that we throw on things. Like, for instance, somebody will be like, okay, this is a great knife. You know, it's a grail knife for me. It's a great knife. It's a pricey knife. It's a very expensive knife. Joe did me a solid by giving me this. But then they'll look at, say, something like, I don't know, let's even take the Malia, you know, the more Malia. Let's look at this one and go, it's a great knife, especially when you consider it's a budget knife. Now all of a sudden you're lessening it because you're saying it's great because it's a budget knife. No, a great knife's a great knife. Doesn't matter what the price point is. So this is where I'm going to rant. So is this a great knife? Yes. Is this a great knife? Yes. Both great. Obviously, materials wise, quality wise, this is a much better knife. But this is still a great knife. Just because it's in the budget realm doesn't mean that lessens it any as far as operation and performance. You know, I think we need to get over saying that. It does kind of distract because when we start using that term budget, we almost think we're too afraid to say inexpensive. So we're saying budget. Budget to a lot of people means that, oh, it's cheap. And the old saying, you get what you pay for. Well, that's not always the case. I disagree. I think you could find great things in the inexpensive realm. Well, yeah, absolutely, Neil. That's an old saying that's very true, you know. But like I think if you're just looking for a great day in, day out knife, you don't have to spend $300, $200. You can go and get one of these for 35 bucks and you'll use this to your heart's content. And it'll do everything you want it to do, you know? So throwing that stigma of budget on things really drives me nuts. And I've done it myself in videos because it's just what we've been trained to do, you know? Well, he was basically saying what I'm kind of summing up what he was saying because it's what I agree with. He was saying he doesn't like using that word budget because it almost puts like a doubt in somebody's head. You know, when you say, "Oh, it's a great budget knife." No, just say it's a great knife. You don't have to qualify it by saying budget. You know, everybody's got a budget they work within. Some people have more money to spend, others, you know, that sort of thing. But just because something's in the lower tax bracket, so to speak, excuse me, doesn't mean it can't be good, or even great, you know? Yeah, exactly. Good is good. 100%. You know, I'll give you a good knife here. This is a Boker that I won in Aries EDC's giveaway. And this is the Keon. The Keon. I mean, these things go for 40 to $50. And you know what? This knife works fantastic. The crossbar lock is fantastic. The jimping on top of the blade is exactly the kind of jimping I like, the aggressive jimping. Really grabs your hand. You know, it's got a decent sharpening choil. And, you know, full four-finger grip, lightweight. It's got, FRN handles on it, wire clip that's reversible. But it's a good knife. It's a really good knife. I don't care what the price point is, you know. And this one is in, I want to say this one's a D2 steel. Doesn't They actually don't have it marked on the blade, surprisingly enough. Or if they do, it's somewhere I can't see it. But let's see what the box says. Where is thy box? There's thy box. Is that the box? Yeah. The Keon DC2, it actually does not list the blade steel. I'm going to have to look that up. But, I mean, good knife. It's a really good knife, But it deploys really nice. So this is a good knife. Doesn't matter that it's inexpensive or budget. By throwing that budget on there, it just makes people think less of it. And I don't think there's a reason to think less of it. Like like it was just said, good is good. you know. But that's my rant for tonight. Oh man. So we're approaching 2 hours. Oh, you guys know that, by the way, you guys know that I'm a watch guy. Yeah, exactly, Ron. You know, I really need to get my hands on a porcupine. I hear it's a great knife, but I don't have one. You know, there's some knives I still need to add to my collection. Full tang. The Sativian fixed blades are actually really good. G-Ball has talked about them, but also 704 Tactical on his channel, he's put most of them through the test, and he's always touting them and their quality. He hard uses all those knives when he tests them. But well, I'm also tired of the, and trust me, I love buying American products, but I'm also tired of hearing that if a product comes from China, it can't be any good. Years ago that was the case, but now that everything is being produced on high-end machinery, CNC machine, this, that, the other thing, a CNC machine doesn't care if it's in the United States, whether it's in China, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in, Italy. A CNC machine is a CNC machine, and the CNC machine's only as good as the people programming it. And the reality is, like for instance, that Boker, designed in Germany, built in the People's Republic of China. So that design and that programming is coming from Germany, you know. So I'm just, now on some of the budget, and this I will say budget. I won't even say that. On some of the really cheap stuff, I mean, I'm seeing knives out there now that are D2 that are in the $10 range. I only question, if you're selling it that inexpensive, how much time is taken in putting it together and doing the proper heat treat, or are you just pumping those out like, you know, so fast, you know. Mick, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to absolutely hold you to that. So when you hit the lottery, I get my dream knife. 100%. Real quick, because we don't have a lot of time left. And I know last week we got talking, somebody was asking me about watches because they know I'm a watch guy. I've got a great field watch here that I'm going to recommend. This is a Militato. Let me take it off. And this one, this is a Militato. Fantastic field watch. If you're into EDC, like field watches, military style watches, this is a Militato. This is the ML05. This is modeled after, and this is where knives and watches use different terminology. If this was the knife world, people would say it's a clone. In the watch world, we call it an homage. So this is an homage to a Hamilton. Looks exactly like 99% of it looks exactly like the Hamilton. Okay, but this you can get on AliExpress for during their watch event. These were like $27. So what does $27 get you? Gets you stainless steel, gets you a sapphire crystal. Okay, so in the watch world, for people who don't necessarily study watches, you have the sapphire crystals. Sapphire crystals are basically, you can't scratch them. That's why people love it. It's a dome. It's not even a flat. It's a domed sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating on the inside, which is really nice. Nope, sapphire, not ruby, but it's a sapphire crystal. Okay, it's a Seiko movement, so it's going to keep excellent time. It's a quartz. It's not an automatic. Okay, you're not going to get an automatic for $27, and if you do, it's not going to work well because there is one on Amazon. It's $27. It's called a Masked Up, and I actually bought one to see what $27 would get you, and it gets me a watch that um, works well until it doesn't. So, but $27, you get the NATO strap. It's actually a nice looking strap, nice colorway. The loom on this is absolutely amazing. I don't have any. I don't really have a flash right here that with a UV on me, but the loom on this is fantastic, and the movement is amazing because it is a Seiko. So, $27, and it's water resistant up to 100 meters. So, the Hamilton, if you were to purchase it, is $1,500. The homage is usually around $50, but like I said, I got this on the sale for $27, and just fantastic. It's comfortable. It's a smaller size watch, but it doesn't look small on the wrist. We've gotten to the point where everything we're building now is 40, between 40 and 42 of these giant watches. But the reason why dive watches are so popular is because even though they're big, the face is small. So this is a 38 millimeter with 20 millimeter lug to lug. And just if you're looking for a quality field watch, the battery life's about 2.5 years on this. So you won't have to change it that often. And again, it's got the NATO strap. Advantages of the NATO strap is that because it passes between the lugs, if one breaks, it's still going to hang on, as opposed to a watch with a standard strap. But yeah, that's my recommendation if you're looking for a good quality field watch that you can beat on. Um, like I said, the ruby sapphire, the materials they use on this for that price is just amazing. And Militato has been known now for a while for making some fantastic field watches at great prices, you know. But that's my recommendation for the week as far as watches go. Just a Militato. But we are about 20 seconds away from hitting the 2-hour mark. And I'm going to sign off at that point. I hope you guys are having fun because I'm having a blast. And I love having you here with me every Sunday. So don't forget, next Sunday will be the 1,500 sub giveaway. There'll be 2 knives in that. One's going to be a surprise knife that Jimmy Crow donated to the channel for the giveaway. and the other one's going to be a QSP Penguin that Unprofessional Dad is sending over. So I look forward to that. There's going to be some other stuff in there. Obviously, there'll be a swag pack, and we'll see what else we can add to it. But I want to see all you guys here next week for that, because I want somebody to win that and enjoy it. And thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all of you being here. I love the community. I love all you guys and gals. You're the best. And until I see you next, have a great week. And I might be going on Tuesday for Caleb if he's not up to being on, if he's not home from the hospital. I may wind up jumping in his spot. And I will definitely be jumping on late night Saturday, since Big Red's going to be doing an afternoon show. So you might get 3 of me this week. Might get me 3 times. All right, folks. As I always say, until we meet again, keep your blade sharp. Good night, guys and gals. See you in the next one.